All right, we're live. Ah, I can hear myself on the computer. Good. And Dita is here with me. Good evening, guys. Dita is here with me to help me sort out the technical stuff on the computer. It's all great. 17 December, 8 p.m. tonight. Welcome to this webinar. I think we're going to talk about fear and stress and social anxiety and these kind of things. So we're live tonight on YouTube, we're live tonight on Facebook, on Instagram, and most of all, of course, here on Zoom. So my name is Erik. I'm Dutch. I came to Ireland about 2.5 years ago. I've been living in the Caribbean, Mexico, Venezuela, Scandinavia, and some other European countries. Been basically out of my country for more than 20 years. And so right now I ended up in Ireland. I like this place, a lot of space here compared to Holland. Holland is very, very densely populated, about 18 million people, half the size of Ireland. Gives you an idea. Of course, you come to Ireland, you know, the climate, the temperature is pretty similar, a lot of changes in the weather. So anyway, I feel kind of at home here. We just started, just like a little bit late. I apologize for that. So let's see, who do we have here? We got Anzi Bozic. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Maybe it's Bosic. Maybe that's better. We got Dan, fantastic. Then we got this beautiful lady with the name of iPhone, Julie, Karim, Kyle, very, very regular visitor. Kyle has been here, guys, with us more than 40 webinars. Then we have Vikas. Okay, guys, welcome everybody. It's great to have you. Of course, welcome everybody who's watching from the other platforms, Zoom, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Quick question. So it's all about this social fear, anxiety. We are going to cover something about the mind tonight, and I'm sure you're gonna love the data. But before we get there, maybe you want to share with all of us, the chat is wide open, maybe you want to share quickly, where are you from? Dan just did that, also in Ireland. Where are you from, and what brought you here? Is there any specific reason that you came to this webinar tonight? So let's use a minute for that. Let's get acquainted with one another. Well, that would be nice. What brought you here? Maybe you want to share, where are you from? Where are you joining from? We have a big meetup group, almost 2,200 members spread across the globe. A lot of people in Ireland, in the UK, but then, you know, it even stretches out to Australia, Canada, Africa, many parts of the world. So it's nice to find out where you're from. And if you're a fast typer like that, maybe you also want to share with us what brought you to this webinar. Maybe you have a specific interest. Maybe you want to improve something about yourself. Maybe you want to improve something in life. Maybe there's a certain thing that you keep running into that you want to handle. All right, Kareem's there. There you go, from Egypt. Fantastic. Not too long ago, I was in Cairo. Beautiful, man. It's great to have you. So now you're living in the UK since 1 year. Wow, okay, amazing. Quite a change in temperature, I suppose. All right, Julie from England, here today to help myself look forward when walking rather than having my head down. Okay, got that. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Julie. That's great. All right, Dan. Let me see. That British moved to Ireland here 5 years. Okay. All right. I'm very curious about your impressions. It's so funny when you're coming from a bigger country, or like me, in my case, coming from the continent, and then, you know, going to the UK or Ireland for the first time. Of course, you have to get used to driving on the other side of the road, especially for me. Cultural changes, very, very different buildings, constructions, and so on. Let me see. So, Kareem, you want to develop your public group speaking? Okay, fantastic. That sounds really cool. I always do not feel comfortable speaking in front of a large audience. All right, so Kareem, you're going to get the answer tonight why that is. Okay? And you're also going to get the answer how you can actually handle that. Kyle, Northern Ireland. Welcome, Kyle. Fantastic. Then here to develop my confidence and not overthink social interactions. I like this word, overthink, that you're using, because we're going to go into that as well. Why does that happen? And why does it run on a full automatic and you can't seem to switch it off? There's a reason why that happens. Okay, guys. Well, sounds like we're going to have an interesting night together. I'm very, very happy with your answers so far. Now, interesting question. Since we're going to talk about human behavior, right? And human behavior has got everything to do with our mind. Now, here's a nice analogy. Let's say your car breaks down, or rather your engine breaks down, and you bring your car to a garage. And you have a lot of confidence in that mechanic that you're meeting, that you're having a chat with. And you could ask that mechanic, what is an engine? And how does an engine work? And if there's something malfunctioning, what is the root cause? Can you find the root cause of the trouble? And you could also ask him, can you fix it? All right. Now, this is why we actually get things done. Okay, now let's apply that idea to the field of the mind and mental health. So now we're going to talk to a different kind of mechanic, and we're going to ask, what is the mind? Number one. Number two, what is the root cause of that problem that keeps occurring in my life? What makes that happen? Why do I have this social fear, this anxiety every time? Why does that keep happening? What is the root cause? Question number three, can you fix it? All right, so let's start with question number one. I'm curious about your answers. Do you think that anybody knows what the mind exactly is? Do you think anybody knows what the mind exactly is? Just put a yes or a no in the chat. I'm quite curious about your ideas on that. Kyle, you said a yes. All right. All right. So what do the others think? Anzi says no. All right. Kareem says no. All right. Anybody else? All right. iPhone. Maybe you want to reveal your name. It looks kind of cute. I'm not sure. All right. Good. So tonight you're going to find out. And it's actually not hard at all to understand. We're going to present it in such a way that you will just be able to tell the whole thing to your family and friends after this webinar, tonight, tomorrow, and thereafter. So we're going to start with a quote to start with. Rita is here to help me out, just getting this whole thing started up. We're going to start with a quote which is about the mind. There we go. The mind is the accumulated recordings of thoughts, conclusions, decisions, observations, and perceptions of a being throughout his entire existence. Now, if you knew a little bit about Buddhism, there's a saying in Buddhism, which is, you are the sum of your experiences. You're the sum of your experiences. Well, very well. Well, what about all these bad experiences? If that enters in, you could suspect you're going to be in a bit of trouble. Let's just stick to this definition. The mind is the accumulated. you know, it sums up, it keeps on recording the accumulated recordings of thoughts, conclusions, decisions, observations, and perceptions of a being, you as an individual, throughout your entire existence. Okay, well, let's make this a little bit practical. Let's do a picture with this quote. Let's do a picture, and we go to the mind recording picture. If you can help me, Dita. There we go. All right, so what do we see here? What do we see here? We see this guy is walking in the street, and he is seeing a tree in front of him. That's in the first picture in your upper left corner. He just sees that tree in front of him, and he's actually making a recording of the whole thing. He's making a recording of himself walking down the street and noticing a tree. Then in the next picture, and when he walks on, I'm not sure if you can see that, if I'm in the picture or not, but in the next picture, if we go to B in your upper right, there actually he sees a house and a tree. And again, he makes a picture of that, and you can see it starts to accumulate. He had a picture of himself walking down the street, recording a tree. Now he's actually recording a tree and a house, and he's part of that whole experience. He continues to picture C, where he now sees a house and a car, and he makes a picture of that. He's still walking down the street, and he's making a recording of himself going down the street, noticing and recording the house and the car. He moves on. You can see it's nicely accumulating in his mind as memories, as experiences, and now he sees a car and he makes a picture of that. So if we go back to that first quote, and Dita, you can leave it here, that's fine, we can just leave this picture. We just go down to, if we just go back to the first quote, it is the mind is the accumulation of recordings, of thoughts, of conclusions, of decisions, observations, and perception throughout his entire existence. Now, we're going to take the picture away. I'm just going to have ask you a short question. So let's do a little drill here. Do you remember what you had for breakfast this morning? Do you remember what you had for breakfast this morning? Do you remember where you had it? Do you remember the taste? Do you remember if you liked it or if you didn't like it? Do you remember if it was too much or it was too little? Do you remember if it made you feel full or if you still had an empty feeling? Do you remember that perhaps it made you a bit more lazy than before, or that they gave you energy? And you can see that you actually have recordings of this, right? Does that make a little bit of sense? Okay, so you guys are tracking. Fantastic. Now, I would like to do a little drill with you guys. And you can close your eyes. You don't have to. But this is the idea. What I would like you to do is that you imagine that you are, again, in your favorite chair, in the living room, in the house where you grew up with your parents. So imagine you're sitting in that chair, if you had a favorite one or one where you would frequently sit. Pick any place, any position, any chair, sofa, couch. But imagine you once again sitting in your favorite chair in the living room in the house where you grew up. Now, here's the drill that I want you to do. I want you to look around in the room and find the TV. When you find the TV, I want you to use your index finger, stretch out your arm, and from where you're sitting, point toward the TV. Like, where do you see it in your own space? You probably found the TV by now, so now let's find a table. Let's find a table in that space. And just point at it. Just say, okay, well, I have a TV, I have a TV over there, and I got a table here right in front of me. Now let's have a little bit of a look at that table. Let's have a look at the height, the shape, the color, perhaps dimensions. And you might get some glimpses here and there of that table. Same thing for the TV. Some flashes, right? Some pictures going. All right, now let's find a window. Let's find a window. Just point it out. Is there a window over there? Is it over there? Over there? Just point it out. In my case, if I would sit here, I would have a big window over there. I would have a smaller window over there. Now, perhaps you can see that you had plants in the window or something of that sort. Maybe you had blinds in front of the window, or maybe you had curtains in front of the window. Right? And if that was the case, maybe you can see the color of the blinds or the color of the curtains. You can even see the fabric. Good. Now, last one. I want you to find a door, any door, and point toward that door. In my case, I had a door over here. I had a door over there. All right. Now, quick question for all of you. Were you able to point out these different items in the room? In other words, did you have the knowingness, the knowledge, where these things were actually located in the living room? Did you have that registration? Did you have that recording? Very good. Julie, yes. Kyle, yes. Julie, again, yes. Okay, great. iPhone, yes. Kareem, yes. All right, that's marvelous, guys. Fantastic. Okay, now, who of you actually saw some images, some pictures flashing by? Who saw images, pictures? Perhaps, okay, Julie, fantastic. Doesn't matter what image. Maybe a picture, maybe an image of the room or the TV or the table or the curtains or whatever flashed by. Everybody did. All right. Okay, guys. This is your mind. Your mind makes pictures. Very simple to understand. Okay. Now, how about we do a little sketch here on the whiteboard? Now let's say that here represents a body. And these are then your pictures. So that here is your mind. All right? Now, the funny thing that we just observed is that these pictures have a three-dimensional content. You can actually recreate these pictures in your space, in your surrounding. You could just imagine with your eyes open or with your eyes closed, that you're in that living room again, and that you would say, well, the TV was 3 meters away from me. The window was 4 meters away from me. Or if you want to think in feet, it was 12 feet away from me. And I had a table there that was 3 feet away from me. And I had a door in the back that was 10 feet away from me. Big, huge room. Right? Now here's a fun fact. So these pictures are three-dimensional. Yeah, they're 3D. Now, they are not in your brain. Now you might say, well, Erik, I've just lost you. What do you mean they're not in my brain? Well, they're not in your brain. You did not say, let me see, the TV is over here, and the table is over there, and the window is over here, and the door is in the back of my head. You didn't do that. Instead, you pointed about you. So, we don't call these pictures chemical pictures or materialistic pictures. We call them mental images. It is something mental that is going on there. It hasn't got anything to do with your brain cells. There's nothing physical about these pictures. Now, it's really funny. Let's say you and I, we would have a conversation, and I would ask you this question, where's the TV? And you would say, well, it's right there. And I would say, well, I don't see a TV there. You must be delusional. There's clearly no TV over there. Well, in your mind, there is. And you know, you're right. Because in your mind, in your picture, in your recreation, in your memory, in your recording, it happens to be there. And you're absolutely right. But this is why, when we get into the field of the mental, quote unquote, sciences, these people might tell you, you're all wrong. It's just in the brain. What you're looking at is just a delusion. That is because they don't know. Maybe you would go to this garage and you speak to a mechanic that really doesn't know his business. He's going to give you a whole lot of false answers. And he will not be able to fix your car. He's going to make a mess out of it. And that is what's happening in the field of mental health. Now, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't mean that it's all bad, because there's actually some good stuff around there. The stuff that I'm just giving to you comes out of this book, which is called Dianetics. Now, Dianetics is an international bestseller. It sold more than 22 million copies. It's been translated in over 50 languages. You can get it in Castilian Spanish. You can also get it in Latin American Spanish. You could get it in Portuguese or in Brazilian Portuguese. You could get it in Urdu, in Zulu, pretty much every major language on the planet. And dia comes from Greek, meaning through. Netics comes from nous, also Greek, meaning mind. In other words, through the mind, what the mind is doing to you and your body. Now it says there, the modern science. In other words, this is a science book. It's not a novel. It's not a romance. It's not a Western. It's not a science fiction. It's a science book. What do we mean by science? It is a body of knowledge that you can apply to actually predict outcomes and to actually get results. So you have the physical science. It's a body of knowledge. And when you apply that knowledge, you can easily make predictions on what is going to happen. And you can also get results. Okay? So by the end of the evening, I'm going to make you a fabulous offer, because this book is a life changer. All right? Now, so let's carry on a little bit. Here we have a body. Here we have the mind. So I have a question for you. Now, who or what is looking at these pictures? Maybe you want to pop that in the chat. Who or what is looking at these pictures? Go ahead, pop something in the chat. Let's have a nice chat together. Let's make it very lively. Who or what is looking at these pictures? What is it? Or who is it? Dan Smith says the soul. All right. Dan, by the way, my name is Erik Smit, S-M-I-T. I'm Dutch. We don't use the H like you guys do in Britain. Anyway, I'm happy with your answer. Anybody else who or what is looking at these pictures? Feel free to use that keyboard and pop something in. Doesn't matter whatever your answer is. It's all about having some fun tonight, learning something. Okay, Kyle says you. Julie says me. Dan says the soul. All right. So, here's an interesting fact. You would say, I have a body. I have 2 arms. I have a hand. You would refer to your body as something that you have. You instinctively know that a body is something that you have. You also know it is not something that you are. You would not say, I am my hand. You kind of like know that that's a bit silly. You also know that you have a mind. You could say, well, I have no recollection of it. I have no memory of that. I have some very, very pleasant moments that I remember of spending with those people. You have. Now, you would refer to you simply as me or as I. So man is divisible in 3 parts. You, your body, and your mind. So now, if you want to know all about your body, well, go ahead. You can bring it to the gym. You can work it. You can work it out. You can study anatomy. You can study medicine. You can study whatever. Might be interesting. Lasts on average 70 to 80 years, and then it kicks the bucket and it's done with. Now, in your mind, there's something very interesting to know about that, which is what is limiting your potential? What is holding you back? What is causing these fears and anxieties? If you could get an answer to that, that might actually change your life forever. Now, it might also be very, very interesting to know about you. How much better can I really get? What is my full potential? How good can I get? And so Dianetics is all about this and this. Dianetics is not so much about that, except for one thing, what your mind is doing to your body. All right? So, let's go to the next question. If you want to pop that up, Dita, then I think I'm going to be able to let you go after that. I got 2 thumbs up. Dita's happy with that statement. It's very busy. That is the question with the 4 different questions. This one. Yeah, exactly. All right. Now, here we go. Is there anything, and I'm just, let's take it as question 1, question 2, or question 3. All right? Question 1. Is there anything undesirable in yourself that doesn't make any sense to you? Do you have certain habits that don't make any sense to you? Anything that you feel like you have to do it, but then you feel bad about it, for example. Or anything that you would really like to do, but every time you feel that you want to do it, you feel that something is holding you back. Or number two, is there a person or location that causes you to have irrational reactions? I'm sure a location like a hospital, a dentist, probably makes you kind of nervous. Probably makes you kind of, what can we say? Well, anxious for sure. You certainly might get reactions. Maybe you might even faint or something like this, right? And the same could apply to a person. Maybe you have certain fears for the boss. Maybe you have a certain fear for your partner. Whenever he brings up a certain topic and you go like, oh, you shrink a little bit. Or do you ever freeze in some peculiar situation without any rational reason? Does this sound familiar to you guys? All right, so we have a yes there. All right, Julie, yes, I overreact by overlooking situations. Then I realize in the end I was being silly, or I'm just fearful because I overthink. Okay, I got you, Julie. Thank you very much. Anybody else? You can also, if you want to participate in the chat, you can also say, okay, yeah, number one or number two or number three, or all of them affect me. I'll be happy with just hearing number 1, 2, 3 from you guys. It's all about the participation. All right. iPhone says, yes, I get really anxious over small situations. I also overthink. All right. Good. Well, thank you very much for the answer. Okay, Dita, I'm going to let you off the hook. Guys, Dita's going to be back with us. She is the host tonight. Always very, very helpful. If you have any specific question, she's just there working in the background, helping us out with those kind of things. So Kareem says, overthinking also takes a toll on my life as well. In my life, well, I'm successful, but I can be more if I just do not overthink and overwork my brain. All right, so I have another question for you. You may answer, you don't have to. If you do answer, it's appreciated. It's going to bridge us to the next topic because we're going to have a look at what is holding us back here. There's something that runs on full automatic that is holding us back, causing us a lot of difficulties and limiting our potential. We're going to have a look at that, but I actually want to raise a question that is going to get us there. And this is the question. Is there something that is not under your control and seems to be stronger than you? Give it a thought. Is there something that is not under your control and seems to be stronger than you? Julie said yes. All right. Give it a thought, guys. Thank you very much, Julie. Is there something that is not under your control and it seems to be stronger than you? All right, iPhone, yes, my mental health, which I cannot control, sadly. We're going to get there, my dear. We're going to get to the answer. And actually, the good news is you can control it and you can even fix it. Just like the engine, it can be fixed. Your mental health can be fixed. That is the good news. All right, Kareem says you don't think you have that. All right. All right. Solomon says my emotions. Good. Okay, guys. So we got that. All right. Now, there is actually a part of your mind that controls you against your will. And you have probably observed this. You have probably observed some kind of a self-sabotage. You want to do something that is really going to be in your favor, but you're holding yourself back. or there's something that you know you should not be doing, but you're doing it nevertheless. And then you regret it. Right? So I'm going to give that to you again. You've probably observed that you really had an ambition, a purpose, a goal to do something. But then some kind of a fear of something else held you back. And on the other hand, there's been stuff that you knew you better not get into, you better not do that, but then you felt the impulse to do it nevertheless. Okay, so let's put this to the test. Let's make an example. Let's say we have a person here. And maybe it's you, that's fine. Let's say you're walking the road in that direction. And there's actually a dog on the road. Now you happen to notice that dog. Now many years ago, remember that your mind is the accumulated recordings. Many years ago, you had an incident with a dog. That's somewhere part of your mind. That was a very, very traumatic incident. As long ago, the dog shred you to pieces, ripped open your arm. It was very painful. You lost a lot of blood. You had to be carried away on a stretcher in an ambulance. You were taken to a hospital. You had some moments, few moments, where you got to your consciousness, and then you were given drugs to operate you. There was this team of doctors there and nurses. There was a cold environment, kind of creepy. It had this smell of hospitals, and it's all been recorded. So that was a moment that was very painful. Let's say that recording is right there. Somewhere in your past, maybe you've forgotten all about it. All right? Now you're walking the street. There is this dog here that somehow looks an awful lot like the dog in that moment. Let me see if I can make some space. Now, what are you going to do? Or what is that person going to do? How is that person going to react or respond when he or she is in this kind of a situation? What is going to happen? Put something in the chat, guys. What is going to happen? Vika said fight or flight response. All right. Who else, guys? What is going to happen? I'm going to enjoy my tea in the meantime. Kyle says the bad memory will be recalled. Okay. That's a pretty good answer. Kareem, I will avoid it and have flashbacks of the memory. Okay, guys, these are all very, very good answers. So, the first thing that we can observe, remember that question that I just asked you. Is there anything that is stronger than you and that controls you? So here, that moment over there, there is pain involved. You could say there's a painful force involved. There's emotion involved, and there's a forceful emotion there. Now, what would you say if this guy all of a sudden starts to feel that same force again? He gets the emotion of fear, and he gets the emotion or the force that tells him to turn around and not move any further. In other words, there's some force there. And that force affects his emotion, and it affects his body. Would that make sense? All right, good. Now, what is the problem here? The problem here is that the mind actually makes mistakes. It actually makes mistakes. It confuses this dog with this dog. It makes a big mistake. That dog is not the same as this dog. Now, the other confusion and the other mistake is that this is the past and this is the present. In other words, the mind can confuse the present and the past. It can also confuse this location with this location. So it can also confuse locations. There's something there that when pain and loss and unconsciousness is involved, that the mind starts to operate in ways that it starts to make mistakes. Now, the only thing it can do at that moment is just to apply force to get that fight or flight response. Now, you might say, well, Erik, that is all fine, but I don't have anything with dogs. Dogs simply don't scare me. All right, I get you. Well, let's change the situation. Let's change the situation, and so here we have some kind of an incident. Some kind of an incident that has been recorded that happened to be with another individual. You ever had this idea that you wanted to talk to the boss and you got that anxiety feeling in your stomach? And it told you that you better not step forward? And it told you that you better not make a move or ask any question or approach him? Some kind of a force stronger than you took control. So, let's say you have a look at another individual and you get a very, very irrational response. You look at the individual and you say, I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't know why. I simply don't like him. Well, is there anything rational about this? Is there anything logical about this? Do you even know the person? Or what if if there's a group of people and you're just peeing in your pants just with the idea that you have to talk to these people? Again, that peeing in your pants is some kind of a force that happens to be stronger than you are. And now you go, all right. Okay, all right, Erik, maybe there is some sense to this, but how do I fix it? How do I fix it? So my first question here is that, of course, we just have a 1-hour webinar, and there is a more elaborate series of webinars, which is a 3-hour webinar divided over 3 weeks on Wednesdays, called The Mind Explained. That goes more into it. It's more deeper. It's more profound in knowledge. But so far, just so far, are you tracking? Does this make any sense to you? And let me, in the meantime, just see what Julie wrote. Yes, it like remembering what's happened before, or what's hidden in my brain, and I'm scared the same thing will happen. Right. Thank you, Julie. So guys, so far we've been talking about the mind, mental images, some stuff in the mind that actually has some force over you, seems to be controlling you. You're not really aware of what it is. But remember this, these pictures are mental. You don't really see them unless you're being made aware of them. You're looking at the living room, and when you actually look at it, you can say, oh, well, the TV is over there, the chair is over there, the window is over there, the door is over here. So when you make yourself aware of these pictures, you can actually see the picture. There might be a picture there, you might just have a flash. You may not be aware enough of what is actually affecting you. All right, so we have here Kira Boyle, being in the present, that knowing that we have made mistakes in the past, are willing to learn from our mistakes. That's great, Kira. Okay, guys, so far, Kyle is absolutely tracking. How about iPhone, Julie, Kareem, Solomon, Vikas? Are you guys with it? Are you tracking? Does it make sense so far? Yeah, okay, good. Perfect. All right, so it makes sense to everybody. Now, have you ever heard that that we only use like 10% of our potential? Have you ever heard that? We only use like 10% of our potential. There's actually a quote from Albert Einstein. Now, maybe you haven't heard it. Maybe actually it makes a lot of sense to you. Maybe it does make a lot of sense that you're only using a limited portion of your potential. Now, let's say it was 10%. Now, I don't want to insult you, but it means you're not using 90% of your potential. Now, what if that 90% happens to be these kind of forces that hold you back? Every time you want to do something that is going to enhance your survival, that's going to improve your life, something kicks in and holds you back. And then, in other times, you'll find yourself doing things that you really regret because they're not really good for your surviving. It doesn't really enhance your emotions and your feelings. Good. Now, there's a way to fix this, and it's actually very, very, very interesting. Like you just looked at these pictures, like the pictures of the living room, right? There's also pictures which are, let's say, just out of sight. So there's something there in the mind that is out of sight. It's out of sight, but it nevertheless still has that bad force and command over you. Now, the moment that you don't know something, you might feel confused. And you might wonder, why is this happening? That is because you don't know. The moment that you do know, you have certainty. You have the certainty that you can do something. You can at least do something about it. There is a technique in Dianetics that is so powerful that it actually erases the negative force over you. So it does not erase your mind. It does not erase your memory. It does not erase your recordings. There's a technique in Dianetics that erases the negative force over you. That negative force is that force that makes you do the stuff that you regret, or that keeps you back from what you really want to be and from what you really want to do. So imagine every time you want to do something and you stop yourself, or you don't want to do something and then you do it and you regret it and you say, oh my God, it happened again. And you don't even know what it is. Would you really miss it if that was gone? It'd be a life changer, right? So imagine if you can now do whatever it is that you want to do, and you can be yourself, you can have more things. You can also expect that your confidence will go up a great deal, that you become more competent. All of a sudden you're feeling that you can actually do things that you couldn't do before, because before, whenever you wanted to do something, it was just causing you a whole lot of stress. And so the technique is actually in Dianetics. Now, What is Dianetics? Dianetics is actually a forerunner of Scientology. You may have heard about it. It's a buzzword. It's going all across the internet. And basically, it took the whole planet by storm. Why is that? Well, you got a whole bunch of self-help books. And these are all aimed to think positive, stay away from the negative, take some small steps, don't be overambitious, and so on. It's all great. It's even motivational stuff. You know, I'm not making nothing out of it. The whole thing is that you want to get rid of your own negativity. You want to get rid of that stuff that is holding you back, that's causing you to think negative in the first place. And that is the only book on the planet that actually tells you, where is that negative crap coming from? Where does it originate? And how come it keeps controlling you? And how come it does that again and again and again and again and again ad infinitum? The first part of the book, the first 200 pages, is all about how does your mind work? What does it do? The second part is all about the method, the therapy. How does it work? And in the back of the book, you actually get a glossary with all the hard to find words. It's an amazing book. Like I said, it's a science book. It has its own nomenclature. But nevertheless, it's not written for experts. It's written for the layman, just like us. Okay, guys, it's 8 o'clock, and I hope you got something out of this story. At least you have an idea right now where some things in your mind can cause you trouble, can cause you fears, can cause you social anxieties, can cause you to hold yourself back, can cause you to reduce your potential, can cause you to simply be not yourself. And if you want to change that, basically it starts with getting some knowledge. All right, good. So Kira Boyle, loving your show still, learning a lot lively from the lively chats. Okay, Kira, I love it. Thank you so much for that comment. That's great. I'm happy to share, of course. So what I want to do for you is that we actually have a beautiful Christmas offer. And I think Dita is going to put that in the chat. This book is a high quality book. You got, I'll just put it in the camera for you. You got high quality paper. It's easy to read. You have an amazing glossary. So the book is normally 20 euros, including shipping in Ireland. Unfortunately, we cannot cover the shipping costs to the surrounding countries, but tonight we're going to make you the offer of only 15 euros for this book, including shipping in Ireland, for free. And I guess that's a wonderful Christmas offer that will actually jumpstart you into a better 2025. Getting the tools to resolve these things which are holding you back and limiting your potential and causing you unwanted fears. All of that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, can be handled with Dianetics. I'm going to give you a minute to have a look at the link, and then there's a little bit of time for any questions if you have. So a quick question. That is, are you happy with the condition that you are currently in? Are you happy with your own mental state that you are currently in? Or is it that you do want to improve? All right, Kyle, there we go. Of course, that's the answer we like to hear. Happy with help of Dianetics. Okay, Solomon needs some improvement. Okay, thank you, Solomon. So, Solomon, do you think that tonight you got some of your questions at least a little bit answered? Do you have the idea that that possibly there could be a solution? All right. Yes. Lovely. I like that. Anybody else? Anybody else who says, all right, me too, I want some improvement? Kareem said yes. All right. Julie, I do want to improve more, but this has helped me find myself more to make myself feel better. That's amazing, Julie. That's great. All right. So let me ask you this, Julie. Did you get satisfying answers or explanations to what you were dealing with today? In other words, did you learn something out of this? Does it make sense to you? All right, great. That's beautiful. Now, I'm going to let you in into something. I started doing webinars a year ago. Before that, I was quite scared to do them. It was one of my fears. Dianetics, quite frankly, made that possible. There was even a bigger thing that was seriously holding me back in my life, which was that I was terrified to make phone calls. Now, you can see I'm pretty bold, but back in the days when I was still having hair, I did not even ring up the hairdresser to make an appointment. I would just go to the hairdresser, meet him in person, and ask if I could actually get an appointment. But I would never ever pick up the phone. Now, that is of course totally irrational. And you can see it can be quite limiting to your development in life. I always liked the idea of being in business. But of course, if I couldn't call anybody without getting the damn butterflies and the anxiety all over and making my legs shake, my throat dry, and my armpits sweat and stink, where would I go? So I wouldn't pick up the phone. So now imagine that is a certain incompetence, something that I couldn't do, that has completely changed to when that nasty force is no longer there on that subject. There's no longer something there holding you down. And now you can freely act. And I can say, thanks to Dianetics, I'm actually quite good on the phone. You can give me your number, I'll call you. I'll be happy to do that. I handled a whole lot more. People have no idea how much they can actually improve. And with that, is there any final question, guys? Is there anybody who still have a question for me? All right, guys. Okay, so I'm very happy with you guys coming here tonight. Stay tuned to the meetup site. As of January, I think it's the 5th, the Wednesday, from 7 to 8, every week, we're going to do the Mind Explained webinars, and we're going to chew out all that stuff, going into more detail. I'm sure if you really want to know what it is that holds you back, and if you do want to handle it, you're going to find out. Good. That is for the new year. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I hope to see you again soon, and have a great rest of your evening. Bye for now.